journey of knowing thyself begins in the cradle and ends in the grave. One way to capture those moments of ourself can be found in the shelf. Shelves have been around since the creation of ancient scrolls. My name is Dr. Walter Hidalgo, and I'm a father, teacher, world traveler, and coach. Join me as we explore together the stories of our shelves. This is Know Thyself.
Watch this.
All right, peace, beautiful family. This is Dr. Walter, and this is the Know Thyself podcast. And don't be fooled. This is not a ninja master, a samurai. It's the God, because the God respects, and we're back in action, but we taking proper precautions for the obvious reasons. This is episode numero 25 of the Know Thyself podcast. The Know Thyself podcast utilizes the metaphor of the shelf to extrapolate the self. We bring in people and guests just to basically share the stories of our shelves, right? Because what's one major kind of thing that we have at the crib is a shelf, yes, and one facet or another. That's right. And I think it's dope that, you know, the dope thing about Know Thyself is we bring in people to share those stories and share something of them. As always, like every podcast that we do, I always give a shout out to someone. And this time I want to shout out all artists. Whatever that word means to you, whether it's through the paintbrush, the aerosol, or bombing, how we used to say, or through a canvas, or writing a book, that's art, or teaching, creating curriculum, or creating a video, that's all art, all right? So shout out to you, and the reason I'm saying that is because I got my brother from another mother that I've known for a minute, yo.
Yeah, it's been some time now.
I've known you for a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris, aka Mr. 13, my brother. So good to see you.
Yo, man, I want to thank you for having me here tonight. Good to see you, man. We've been in quarantine for a whole bunch of months. You're one of the first people I've seen.
That's love. Shout out to yo. That's a fact too. I mean, I've been subtly, bringing people in. I know people have been talking about the whole Zoom thing, and that's dope too. Yeah. And that has a space too. But I feel like it just loses its authenticity if you're not showing and telling that vibration. But it's dope that we're here, and I want to start off because I basically known you. I can't even remember. At least
10 years.
At least I was thinking the same thing, right?
Yep.
And I known you. I think I met you through the gods, yo. Adriel.
Yep.
And Steve.
Adriel and Steve. Shout out to A and Steve.
Yo, shout out to Adriel, Privilege NYC.
Yes, sir.
And shout out to Steve with the 2020 collections.
That's right.
I love my brothers, and it's all part of the family. It's what we do, right?
Yeah, this is what we do, man.
And I think, I don't want to jump right into it yet about that piece, but let's just bring it back, 13, because I know that you're from where?
Brooklyn.
Talk to me about Brooklyn. Talk to me. I always ask this question because for me it's like, I love, I guess it's the sociologist in me that just, how was it for you? What was Brooklyn like? Because, there's been so many movies and stories and books.
Well, for me, I'm biased, so, Brooklyn is the best borough.
Well, okay.
Yeah. Now, I love Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. It made me everything that I am. I wouldn't change it for one bit, for any dollar amount. Nothing. The experience of growing in Brooklyn, it made me, a man. Yeah.
What was those things that made you a man? Any specific moments you can think of or circumstances?
Was just learning to survive, overcoming the obstacles of being in certain neighborhoods. Not all of Brooklyn is bad, but I grew up in Williamsburg, the South Side. Anybody who's familiar with it, in the early 80s, it was a pretty bad neighborhood. And
and what was bad about it, 13? Because Williamsburg, is super gentrified. It's totally
so let's get into it, man. Since it's not what it used to be at all. But you know what? There's still pockets of it. But let's talk about it back in the day. It was just like the South Bronx, full of burned down buildings, a lot of drug dealing going on, a lot of biker gangs.
Heard of that. Yeah.
So it had a pretty serious atmosphere and a pretty serious environment.
And it was very diverse. I mean, it had pockets of, enclaves of different ethnic backgrounds and stuff.
So the section I grew up in, the South Side, was mostly Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and then and blacks, right? Williamsburg. Yeah, so that was and then there was part of the neighborhoods that was mostly Italian. Like there's a street called Grand Street, and once you pass Grand Street, you're in the Italian side. And if you go towards the opposite direction, when you pass Broadway, is the Jewish neighborhood. We had a huge Jewish neighborhood, and so it was just an experience growing up out there. I had to learn how to navigate block to block.
What's interesting, I forget where I was in, it might have been Bensonhurst, and we literally crossed over one street and it was totally different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the vibe of Brooklyn, because it's so diverse too.
Grand Street was that divide. I lived on Grand Street. I grew up in the South Side. I lived in the South Side for a real short moment. Then I moved to Grand Street, which was right on the divide. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. I had friends from multiple backgrounds.
And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, just jumping into something else real quick, switching gears, is how were you during COVID? How did you survive it in so many aspects? I mean, we're alive. I mean, how was your health? What was sort of things that you did that? I mean, we're still through it in some ways. I know. Thank God we're not in a hot spot, so to speak. But there's still lives being lost. But how did you navigate COVID?
Well, I've been home.
Yeah.
I haven't been out much. I've just had a baby.
I didn't have the baby.
Right, thank you. I didn't have the baby. My girl had the baby, but she goes to work. She works at a hospital, and I stay home with the kids. I have 2 daughters now, and that's been the focus of my life at this point. Yeah.
So you said hospital. She was an essential worker.
She's an essential worker, yes.
How was that experience as someone, a secondhand experience, I guess, because that's your wife holding it down?
I mean, it was very fearful for her because she's going into the hot zone. She's going right into the thick of things, and she had just had a baby, so she was kind of trying to recover from that. So I was very fearful for her, but I try to keep faith.
Yeah.
One of the things that got me through is that one day, I don't know where I read it at or where I saw it, but it was replace fear with faith. And it was like something that kept coming through my brain, kept coming to my mind. Yeah. And that saying helped me, whenever I would feel like certain negative energies, I would say that to myself, and it would help me out.
Yeah. It's interesting. I do the same thing, 13. When I get depressed, I get angry, I get confused, hurt. We tend to dig ourselves a bigger hole and stuff, and we get tested with faith. And I tell myself, no, I got a purpose. I got a purpose in this life. And I think, in speaking with a lot of people, I mean, that's why I kind of decided to jump on this, because of what happened with COVID. We were all at home. We were in isolation and all this stuff. But one thing I remember someone said, you can't stop the word,
Yep.
That's a vibration, and for us to kind of speak on our own truths. I know, shout out to you, because you gave a snip, some good content out with the work that you've been doing and disseminating, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
That's something else too that I was doing to keep my mind occupied during the quarantine. Was I was working on things, working on projects.
Right.
I the show, the sit down. I did 4 episodes of it, and then I hit a snag. There was a snag because somebody sued me.
Word?
Yeah, I got caught in a lawsuit. I had to pull my site down for about 2.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had to wait till I settled this lawsuit before I could continue.
Was it like some IP issues or?
Well, I Made for Kings, we provide content We had shows, and I also have a blog which does daily news. We were doing daily news, and I pulled an image off the internet, and the photographer sued me for copyright infringement.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
It was a very valuable lesson I learned, and that once again, that have replaced fear with faith. I kept faith in it, and then I pulled through. I actually ended up settling the case for something far less
Thank
than
God.
expected, and we're back. We pulled through. Yeah.
And you know what? I don't want to jump into it yet, or let's get right into it, because what you mentioned is entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
You've been an entrepreneur for
My whole
ever.
life.
You know what I'm saying?
I started selling t-shirts in high school.
and you just dropped the gem and things to be aware of and stuff of that nature. But I always ask, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur for you? What does that mean?
It's freedom. Freedom to explore my capabilities, use my talents that God gave me, and to try to, how do you say, profit off of it, or I can't think of the word right now, but basically use my abilities to be free, not to be working a 9 to 5, not to be under the thumb of a boss. I've had jobs, they never really worked out for me.
It's hard, yo. I tell people, like, ever since high school, the longest job I ever kept was like 2 years at the most. It was weird to get anything more than that, So like, we're from that era. We're like millennials post, maybe but the cuff of another generation.
And there's something about the corporate atmosphere too that I really don't like.
I think someone once said, it might have been Dean Dash. Shout out to Dean Dash, man. He said, I'll never work for someone that I'm smarter than. I don't advise that. I was like,
yeah, I've been in those situations.
You gotta do it yourself and all that.
You're sitting in a meeting and you're like, is this guy serious?
Yeah. Like, what's this about?
Why do we got 5 steps to do this when I could do this in 2 steps?
Facts, super facts, all right? And so one of the ways you do entrepreneurship is through your artwork, right? You're an artist.
Yes.
I mean, one of the ways we connected and bonded is on this hip-hop tip, right? And you do graffiti work, you do all types of artwork in its broader sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
What got you interested in doing that? What was that moment where you said, yo, this is what I'm gonna do?
Well, when I was a kid, I always enjoyed comic books. Major comic book fan, I would be a comic book nerd. Shout out to my boy Billy J, who put me on to comic books. He would bring me comic books he would steal them from his uncle and bring me them and be like, yo, this is the first Kitty Pryde. If anybody knows, they're like, yo, this is the first one she shows up in. And then it just drew my interest. And then I was like, you know what? Let me try to draw these things. And I was capable of drawing them. And I was like, damn, I think I could be an artist. And all my friends would be like, yo, you're dope. You get busy. Like, I can't do this. You did this. And I can't do it. You should really think about doing it. And that was probably where I started off the comic books.
Yeah, I remember as a when I was like it might have been around middle school time, where I just was like, a lot of the cats I knew, that really got down with bombing. That's what we call it. I remember the bombing was the Asian cats. Shout out to my Asian brothers and sisters, the Cambodians, the Ocean. They used to bomb mad nice in the south side of Prague, okay. And that inspired me, and then I started doing some tagging and stuff like that, but never at a level, like you. Is there a particular artwork that speaks to you, your style, or
graffiti? I mean, graffiti is the first love of my life, man. I mean, besides just the comic books, I used to, see the trains. They used to drive. They used to roll by. I used to see the names on the trains. Go into the city, see the insides with the ink dripping.
So you seen the old New York where it was all bombed up in the trains,
all bombed up on the trains. Yeah, I've seen all that, man. I used to come outside and see dudes breakdancing on the cardboard. That's my era, man. That's where I grew up. Boom boxes.
Yep. I remember always as a kid just that image of the cardboard box. Because I know a lot of cats that are also b-boy and b-girling. Right? Shout out to the females that are doing it too, and shout out to females that are also doing graffiti and artwork too, because there's ill bombers too.
There's a lot of amazing graffiti writers that are female out there.
Right. Is there any particular graffiti folks that come to mind that you think that inspire you, or that you're like, yo, this is like an OG, like classic?
For me, I would give props to the dude Adam LOC.
Okay.
I was in North Carolina when I was a kid. I think it was maybe like 87, somewhere around there, and there was a newspaper, and he was on front of it, and it said, graffiti writer arrested for creating mural, and he did the human support. And what it was a huge wall under the Williamsburg Bridge, and it featured like these Greek people holding the bridge up, and it was called the human support. He did it illegally, a whole mural illegally, and they caught him. But the newspapers, he went worldwide with the news, and I was like, wow, look at this man. This is his art. It was rebellious, and it was out there, and it was something that, and he was from my neighborhood. Williamsburg. He was from the Williamsburg, Greenpoint, Bushwick area.
Yeah.
So I was already familiar with graph, but he showed me a different side of it, which was that artistic tip. Like he did something amazing that I had never seen before. Mm-hmm. And so whenever anybody asks me, I always refer back to that guy.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. Okay, so I want to switch gears, and in the Know That Shelf podcast, we invite people to bring in something to share with the community.
Yeah.
What you got for us that you're bringing out?
Well, I'm gonna share this right here, Made for Kings.
Yep.
This is the newest drop on MadeForKings.com. Shameless plug. There you go. There goes another product from Made for Kings.
Mm-hmm.
So we got this hoodie right here.
For those of you that are just listening, 13 is pulling out merch. You got the sweater, the black joint with the white imprint, Made for Kings. And he switched it up. You put the New York Knicks colors.
Yeah, I kept it New York.
It's lit.
Definitely kept the New York on that one.
And there's a particular style of graffiti, that one.
Which one? That one?
Yeah. Isn't it more like box versus like?
Those are like the straight letters.
Yeah.
Straight letters. Yeah. It's not wild style. There's no arrows, so it's just clean straight letter style.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. And speaking of, and what does it say? Made for Kings.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Made for Kings, yo.
So when I was in high school, when I first started my entrepreneurship, I made t-shirts for me and my crew, and it was under the name Imperial Wear. So, I released a bunch of stuff under Imperial Wear, but then it turns out that there was someone out there with that name, a professional company that's been around for years.
Okay.
So I had to switch it up. So Imperial Wear was something that's made for kings. So that's where I got the name from, Made for Kings. Also, whenever I create a product, I want it to be quality. Something that you wouldn't present to just anyone. Something that, is going to last.
Right.
Something that has quality to it, something that's good, great. Mm-hmm. So that's where the name comes from.
And I like it how you kept it royal. Even though it's not empire, it's still king.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a king, my dude?
So it means to be a master of your own world.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really mean kings like kings in Europe, but like in graffiti, when you go all city and everyone knows who you are, they call you a king. So anyone who's a graffiti king, that it kind of refers back to my roots of being a graffiti king. I never call myself a king, Maybe what I make is for the kings.
Or maybe it's just by people observing you enough to respect you and call you a king too.
I never call myself a king. I have put in a lot of work. You know what I mean? If people want to call me that, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But this, so I took that concept though.
Mm-hmm.
But it's being a king of your own world. Being responsible for your own vicinity, your environment, carrying yourself properly, regardless of the situation.
Facts. And how does you're a king and you have a queen and you have two queens? You know what I'm saying? Meaning you're a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Being an artist and a parent, how do those two work together? Do they inspire you? Do they bring some challenges to it? Or I'm sure, I'm a parent too, right? I got a little one too, and I think we can both agree that they inspire us in something, because that's a form of creation too.
Yeah, my kids, they inspire me. I want to do everything that I can, the best I can, so that I can, so that when they see what I'm doing, they could be proud of it.
Mm.
You know, they could say, look, that's something my dad created.
And it's dope because what art is something that is tangible, that it lasts, it breaks through generations, so it's something that our children and their children can look at, like a statue, you know what I mean, like a school and stuff.
Also, you know, my oldest daughter, she's very artistic, and so we connect on that level. And I sit with her, and she shows me her artwork, and she shows me the things that she's doing, and she's amazing. She's doing animation, like she's 11 years old doing animation. I just started doing animation, but it was because of her.
Yeah.
She got a school project and she did an animation video for it, and it blew my mind. And I was like, wow, it opened up some thoughts in my brain. Like, wow, this is why can't I do this for my company? Why can't I create animation videos to promote my products? You know,
I think that what we're seeing is, because I've been seeing some ill stuff with my daughter too. I mean, this is a different generation breed. I mean, I know there's certain social concerns and social psychological concerns that I have with schools were out, and we had to switch gears, and you know, you were homeschooling, I was homeschooling, and I'm sure you got stories with that too. And how was that experience for you? Okay, we'll bleep that out.
Let's bleep that out. Sorry. Excuse me. All right, let's go back. For me, that experience was it was easier than I thought. I got lucky that my daughter, she's pretty amazing. I mean, she's like she gets up on her own. She goes and takes care of what she has to. She's in school on time. All I pretty have to do is check her work, make sure it's done, and it's usually done. And so it hasn't been too difficult. I mean, she's having a little issues with math. I'm not great at math, so now we got to look at getting her a tutor.
I third that.
We got to get her a tutor for that, but most of the other stuff has been pretty easy with it.
Yeah.
Which is different from what I've heard from other parents. But I really can't say that because, you know, I'm lucky. I feel lucky about it.
That's dope. Yeah. And you know, same here. I have pros and cons, and it was a learning experience. And I think one thing someone said, like, this is a great opportunity for a lot of family bonding. Yep. Because we actually broke the 9 to 5 for us, and also the 8 to 2 for them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that means you had to like be artistically creative to work around that schedule. Yeah. So you can meet your most optimal, you know, level and stuff like that. So,
well, you know, my family's blessed. I count my blessings. My girlfriend, she works. I stay home because I'm an entrepreneur, so I have that space to do it. It's been a change for me because there was a slowdown in terms of, you know, the grinding and going out there and networking and having meetings, but that was for everyone. But I mean, I feel blessed that we're in a household where one of us is home to stay with the kids.
God bless. I want to real quickly. This wasn't in the quote-unquote agenda, you know, because we like to freestyle it too. But you're in a. I hate this, y'all. I gotta keep it 100 with what I'm about to say. I'm just being honest. I hate using these terms. So you're in a quote-unquote mixed relationship.
Yes.
By whatever, right? I mean, it's just me, so forgive me, and I say that with love, right? And I say that because, you know, we've seen also not just COVID, but another kind of uprise, revolution and protesting and stuff like that. You know, what are your thoughts on that? With, you know, 2020 and this has happened again. You know, we're seeing a trend. I always say.
Well, we got the Black Lives Matter movement. And we saw the murder of George Floyd on the internet. May he rest in peace.
R.I.P.
That being in a mixed relationship is tough because, you know, you it's not really tough, but it's hard to answer it, man. You know, you hope that you're identifying correctly with your partner, you know, but I'm not black. You know, I've never experienced the things that she has or the things that black males have experienced, but I've seen it, and it's out there, and it's a fact, it's real. These police officers, they are using excessive force, they murder people who are unarmed, they never see a day in jail, and people are fed up with it across all nationalities.
Word.
If you look at the riots and the protesting, you'll see everyone was out there.
Word.
Which was a beautiful thing. It's difficult though because I have friends or had friends, we're not friends no more, that felt like posting things on Facebook which I felt weren't appropriate, but also just let me know where they lied in their mentally what they were thinking. And it's like, okay, well then you hate part of my family, because not only is my girlfriend black, but my sister's husband is black.
Word.
So we have a very diverse family. We have Dominicans, we have blacks in my family. So, but some people small-minded, I guess. So I kicked them out of my circle. Peace.
It's interesting when one of the first episodes when we jump right into this with the coronavirus, I talked about sanitizing your soul and stuff like that, and it's like sometimes that includes sanitizing the physical plane of people that we don't want around in our lives, and I think this really has created a lot of transparency with where people are. And I've heard countless people like, oh, now I know who my real friends are, or now I know what you really mean. And a lot of things are coming up to light. I think 13. I think we're seeing something happening in our time. And I forgot to ask you, why you call yourself 13?
Well, I call myself 13 because the numbers followed me around. It was like Jim Carrey in the movie, was it 23?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, every time I played sports when I was younger, I always got the number 13. My mom and my dad were married on Friday the 13th. When I lived in Staten Island, I lived on the 13th exit. So it just stuck with me, like Mr. 13.
Yeah. And I like how you flipped the script because you turned it into like a more positive, because the 13, a lot of people associate it with something
negative. I don't. It's been pretty good for me. And so also with the sports thing, it was always like 13. Because coach calls you by your number. 13. Stick number 5. So
super facts.
Yeah. So that's where it came from.
So where can people find you, 13?
You can find me on Instagram at Made for Kings TV, all spelled out MadeForKings TV. That's Instagram. On Twitter as well. I don't really use Twitter too much. I'm more of the visual type of person.
Makes sense.
So, and you can catch me at www.madeforkings.com. That's the website. You can check out the murals that we do, the shows we put out there. We had the Cypher Show, which was on DTF Radio for a little bit over 10 years. The Conversation, which was Legacy's show, my show, The Sit Down. Blacktop Sports, which is a Sean City group show, but that we helped produce. And all of that is on madeforkings.com.
That's dope. And you said you started something else recently.
Well, I started The Sit Down.
Talk to us about The Sit Down.
So The Sit Down is it's a discussion amongst businessmen and women. We sit down and we talk about entrepreneurship and business and how to survive and how to overcome obstacles and how to set goals and be goal orientated, and that's what The Sit Down is. Legacy has The Conversation, which is more of a social justice,
shout out to Legacy. And y'all invited me to talk where we spoke on social media and spirituality. Super important. Thank you, and shout out to Legacy for that. Definitely watch that one, and definitely tune into everything that 13 got going on, bro.
Yeah, I did The Sit Down because I didn't want to step on his toes. I went in my own direction.
Well, that's the beauty of it all. We all have that creative, spiritual space that I call, and I feel like a lot of what we're doing, a lot of what inspires me about New York, about you, about us, about this moment in time, is that everybody's kind of stepping up and really showing what they're made out of. Because I appreciate you sharing about the faith piece, because I think we all got tested. This was one challenging time for all of us, and but I think it's an opportunity for us to show what we're made of. Right?
Yeah.
Hence, made for kings, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Word.
I mean, I think this is a soul-searching moment. People have to dig deep and see who they really are. There's a lot of opportunities that were taken away.
Word.
And there's a lot of jobs that have been closed down that won't be coming back. And
Word.
this time, entrepreneurship might be your answer to saving you.
Yeah. This might be your scapegoat. I mean, I always say that there is, when they say the phrase entrepreneur spirit, there's a reason for that, because something is pushing you. There's an energy force that's pushing you to do something much more deeper.
And in that note, I learned that I want to do everything original content, original work. I'm not snatching any more photos off the internet. Valuable lesson learned, and I think it's something that's gonna make me better.
Word. Yo, 13. I love you, my brother.
I love you too, bro.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir. Proud of you too. Thank you for having me.
You already know. I want to, before we close out with the quote, I want to say, is Brooklyn in the house?
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yo, I love Brooklyn, but I'm always gonna rap.
Listen, I love the BX too, man. Brooklyn keeps on taking it.
You know what I mean?
Now we know we don't want to go there.
No, it's all love, man. We come for unity, and because 13 is an artist, I want to close out with a quote from Pablo Picasso, and it reads as such: "Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up." Yep.
Powerful.
Peace, family.
Peace.
Don't wanna